Hi students, in the previous 2 to 4 videos I have discussed with you about collecting banker and paying banker. In collecting banker as well as in paying banker, I have discussed about the role, meaning and duties of bankers. In this video, I am going to discuss with you about the role, meaning and duties of lending banker. So this is the last part of Unit 3, which is called Banking Operations, and in this we are going to discuss about what role banks play in lending money and what kind of precautions they should take while lending money to borrowers. As we all know that the main business of a bank is to accept deposits from public, especially idle savings from households and people who do not have much productive use of their money. So this money is accepted as deposits, and the accepted deposits are then lent to the needy sectors of economy, whether it is individuals or whether it is business enterprises. So the main function of the bank is to accept deposits from the public and lend it to others who need the money more urgently and for productive purposes. Now the banks charge interest on the money that they lend to borrowers, and they give interest on the deposits to the customers and account holders. The difference between these two interests is called the profits for the organization. So banks have to be very cautious while they lend money to people, because they have to be sure that the money is received back so that they can repay this money back to the depositors as and when they ask for it. So therefore we are going to understand the precautions that a bank has to take while lending money to the borrowers. Now to be very cautious, the banks have designed certain principles of sound lending. It is also called as good practices of lending. Now if the bank keeps these principles in mind, it is possible that banks are not going to suffer because of non-payment of money. So let us look at the guiding principles for sound lending. The first one here will be safety. Now let's discuss about safety. What is meant by safety? Safety means that when the bank is planning to give or lend money to borrowers, they should ensure that this money is going to be received back. How can the bank ensure that? The bank can ensure that by checking into the 3 C's of the borrower. What does C stand for? C refers to alphabet C. C means character, capacity and capital. Now, what is the meaning of character? Character means the goodwill of the person or the company, or it means the reputation, or it refers to the integrity. How do we check into such things? The bank can check about the character of the individual who is planning to borrow or the company that is planning to borrow by verifying or checking out their credentials in terms of their past relationships with other organizations and people, and what is the goodwill that the person enjoys in society. So thus the character of the person or the borrower can be ascertained, and after which the bank should check into whether the borrower is having sufficient capacity to run the business. In other words, they have the knowledge and the skill to carry out the business, and sufficient amount of capital or assets are there with the borrower, so that in case of a failed business also, the bank is sure to receive back their money which was borrowed. So thus, if the bank pays a lot of attention to these factors, that is character, capacity and capital of the borrower, chances are there that the bank which has lent the money in the form of advances or discounting of bill is sure to receive the money back, and therefore be in a position to pay back the customers and account holders as and when they demand their money. The next factor or next principle of sound lending that I would say in the degree of importance is liquidity. Now, what is meant by liquidity? Liquidity refers to the amount of cash that is available with the bank. So whenever a bank lends money to borrowers, there can be n number of borrowers asking for money to be lent. Now when the banks lend money, they should not go overboard in lending the money. They should plan the lending in such a way that they have enough cash also remaining with them, so that whenever demands are made by the depositors, they can satisfy the demands of such depositors. Now, for example, if the bank is having 100 rupees by way of deposits, the bank should not lend more than 40% of the deposits that it is having, because the bank has got to retain money to meet its expenses. Then the bank will have to meet the demands of the depositors. So for all that, the bank should have sufficient liquid cash with itself. So therefore, if the bank goes on a lending spree and doesn't bother about the liquidity position, then the chances are there that when the customers and account holders come and demand their money, the bank will not be able to fulfill those demands. And in such cases, the customers and account holders can get very anxious or upset, and this message will fly like wildfire or spread like wildfire, and then all the customers can come and demand their deposits from the bank. Now, if such a scenario occurs, then the bank will not be able to pay all the customers, and it can adversely affect the image and reputation of the bank. Therefore, the banks have to ensure that they have sufficient liquidity, they have sufficient cash with them, and only a part of the money that is received as deposits is lent to the public. They cannot lend off a huge portion of the money that they have received on deposits. Of course, the money that is lent is also part of the money that is received as deposits, but the entire amount that is received as deposits cannot be used for lending purposes. A portion of the amount received as deposits should be used for fulfilling the demands of the account holders, and part of it should be used for meeting the general expenses of the bank. Now, liquidity refers to having enough cash with the bank. It also refers to those assets which can be easily converted into cash. That means easily and readily convertible into cash. So the banks have to look into this principle also and lend the money. The third one I would say is profitability. That means the third principle of sound lending is profitability. We all know that banks also have to make profit, and the profits that they make is the difference between the interest that they charge on the loans, the difference between the interest that they charge on the loans and the interest that they give to the depositors of money. So generally they charge interest on loans at a higher rate, say for example 15%, and they charge they give interest to depositors at a lower rate, say 10%. So the difference between these two rates, now in this case it is 5%. The 5% difference is the profit for the bank. Now banks offer loans at a higher rate of interest than the interest that they give to the depositors, and only through these profits are they able to pay salary to their staff, meet the establishment expenses, pay dividend to shareholders, and also to create more reserves so that they can expand their activities and provide various other functions to the society. So though we know that banks, especially public sector banks, are formed for the purpose of service, they also have to earn profits so as to exist in the economy. So most banks operate both with profit orientation as well as service orientation. So they have to ensure that they are earning profits in order to exist in society. Now, if the bank takes into consideration the first two principles of sound lending, which I just now spoke to you about, that is safety as well as liquidity, then it is possible for the banks to maximize their profits. So banks have to be very careful about whom they lend money to, whether the person is of sound reputation, the person is having the capability and the capacity to repay the money, and if the bank is ensuring that they have sufficient cash to meet the demands of the account holders, then in that case the banks are sure to maximize their profitability. The next thing that the bank should look into is the purpose of the loan or the objective of the loan. So the next principle is objective of the loan or purpose of the loan. If the loan has been granted to a borrower for the purpose of a productive nature or for a productive business, then there are good chances that the loan will be repaid. But if the loan is given for speculative purposes, such as trading in the stock market, we all know that stock market prices can go up or go down. It can rise and fall because of the changes in the economy or because of changes in international policies, rules and regulations, or domestic and international conditions. So there is no guarantee that you can definitely earn money by putting your money into the stock market. Unlike a regular business, the chances of making profit at a definite margin is very uncertain. So therefore banks, if they lend the money for speculative purposes, the chances are there that they may not get the money back. Similarly, if money is spent on some wasteful expenditure, such as holding grand weddings or conducting birthday celebrations on a grand scale, such functions are regarded as unproductive in nature, and as a rule the bank should avoid giving money for such purposes, because the chances of receiving back the money is very doubtful. Similarly, banks do not give money for travel purposes, vacation purposes, because that also is not a productive business or productive usage of the money, and therefore the banks may suffer if the borrower is not able to pay back the money. Now, many a times after lending the money, it becomes difficult for the bank to understand whether the money is being used for the specified purpose, because sorry, whenever the borrower applies for a loan, he specifies a certain productive purpose, and thereafter he may use it for an unproductive purpose. So nowadays, to be very cautious, the banks scrutinize the accounts of those borrowers who have taken the money, and they have certain follow-up measures to see that the credit is used for what it was sanctioned and it is not being used for some other purpose. So they employ people to look into such cases and ensure that the money is repaid back or received back by the bank. The next principle of sound learning is diversification of loans. Now, there is a familiar saying in English that is, do not put all your eggs in the same basket. Now, what is the meaning of this saying? It means that if you put all your eggs into one basket and the basket falls down, all the eggs that were there in the basket will get smashed and destroyed. But if you have different baskets and you put few eggs in all the basket, even if one basket falls and the eggs get smashed and destroyed, at least the other eggs are not damaged. So therefore, this saying means that don't put all your money into one sector or do not lend money only to one sector of the economy. You lend the money to various sectors of the economy. Now, when people come to borrow or organizations come to borrow from banks, they may belong to different sectors of the economy. For example, an agriculturist may want to borrow money, or an industrialist may want to borrow money. Similarly, you may have people wanting to borrow money from against gold or against shares and securities. Some may want to take educational loans and so on. So the bank should try to diversify loans as far as possible so that they can minimize their risk of lending. So even if one sector of the economy is not doing well, say for example agriculture is not doing well, there is a possibility that the industries will be doing well. And if industries are not doing well, there is a chance that agriculture is doing well. So if the bank cannot recover the money from one sector, at least they can recover from the other sector of economy. So therefore the bankers should diversify the lending so that they are not affected by the failure of any one sector. They are not affected by the failure of big borrowers. So the bank should see that they lend money even to small borrowers. And sometimes some sectors can get affected because of natural calamities or political unrest, especially in certain geographical areas. So if the bank lends equitably to various sectors of the economy, there is a balance that can happen. And even if some sectors fail due to some uncontrollable reason, the other sectors may be doing pretty well, and from those sectors the bank can recover the money. So diversification of loans is also important as far as principles of sound lending is concerned. So in this you can see that I have even mentioned security. Security and safety stands for the same objective or principle. So therefore we have covered all the principles of sound lending. Let us see the next slide. Now here I have mentioned the duties of lending banker, and the duties of the lending banker is to offer different types of loans. As I spoke a little while earlier, the banks would be giving loans to agriculturists, and the loans that are given to agriculturists are also for various purposes, such as for buying equipments, or to buy, or for buying land, or for purchasing seeds and fertilizers and so on. And in different sectors of the economy, the loans would be required for various purposes, and we have different types of loans such as cash credit facility, overdraft facility, mortgages, hypothecation and all. So that hypothecation and mortgages and pledging you will understand under types of charges on securities. And then thereafter we'll be understanding about NPAs. NPAs stand for non-performing assets. So we'll go into each of them in a short while. So now talking about the different types of loans, we can classify these loans under three categories. The first one is on the basis of purpose. The second is on the basis of security, and the third one is on the basis of duration. So if on the basis of purpose you are classifying the loan, then the loan can be classified as commercial loan, industrial loan, agricultural loan, or loan for consumer durables, education loan, and so on. If you're classifying the loan on the basis of security, then we can call the loan as secured loan or unsecured loan. Secured loan is which has the backing of a security, and unsecured loan is which is given freely without any collateral or security. The third classification of loan can be on the basis of duration. The loans that are to be repaid within 1 year time, we would call them as short-term loan, and loans which are given for a duration of more than 1 year and up to a maximum of 3 to 5 years is called as medium term loan, whereas a loan which is given for 5 to 7 years or even up to 50 years is called as long-term loan. So therefore the classification of loan can be made on the basis of purpose, that is what is the usage of the loan for, on the basis of security, that means whether there is a surety or security or asset backing the loan, and the third classification is on the length or duration or the period of the loan. So let us understand the common methods and the most popular methods of lending. The first one under that is cash credit system. The cash credit is a main method of lending used by banks in India, and such cash credit accounts for nearly 80% of the bank lending. Now, how does the bank does this cash credit? The bank specifies a limit called as cash credit limit for each customer, up to which the customer is permitted to borrow against the security of tangible assets which they offer as guarantees. The customer can withdraw from his cash credit account as and when he needs the funds, and at the same time can deposit any surplus funds with the bank. So this cash credit account is an active and running account with the bank in which deposits and withdrawals can be effected. The customer would be required to provide tangible assets as security to cover the amount which they have borrowed from the banker. Now the customer gets charged only on the actual amount utilized by him, and that also during the period of actual utilization. The next type of loan that I would discuss with you is about overdraft. We have spoken about this many a times and I am just trying to refresh your memory. This facility is generally given to a current account holder. This is also a loan which allows the customer to overdraw his current account. For overdraft facility, the bank takes some collateral security or takes the personal security of the borrower. The customer is permitted to withdraw as and when he needs money and can repay it by depositing it in the account whenever he is able to do it. Interest is charged on the exact amount overdrawn by the customer and for the period that the money is actually utilized. Generally, the bank gives such an overdraft facility on the basis of written application and a promissory note signed by the customer. This agreement which the bank and the customer signs or enters into will specify the terms and conditions and the rate of interest chargeable with respect to overdraft facility. Now you must remember that overdraft facility is a temporary arrangement with the bank. The bank has the right to reduce the overdraft limit or to cancel it at any time if he is not happy with the operation of the account. The next type of loan that or a frequent method of lending used by bank is letter of credit. Letter of credit is issued by commercial banks mostly to promote foreign trade. No exporter will be willing to ship his goods unless the importer obtains a letter of credit from a commercial bank. So letters of credit are issued only to importers who enjoy credit limits sanctioned by the bank. In the case of others, specific sanctions become necessary for issuing a letter of credit. The letter of credit is issued only on the basis of an application which gives information regarding the beneficiary, that is the export or import license, unit price, sale quotation, value of goods to be imported, mode of shipment, payment terms, nature and expiry date of letters of credit, and so on. So when opening a letter of credit, banks take certain precautions. For the bankers, the ultimate security for letter of credit is the goods to be imported. Therefore, the banker considers the marketability of such goods in the importing country. If the goods are subject to price fluctuations, the banker can ask the applicant to deposit a margin. Sometimes the permission of the licensing authority is required to sell the goods. Then that permission giving the right to sell the goods must be obtained. So this is regarding letter of credit. Another way of lending money is by collection of bills. Now the drawer of a bill of exchange can deposit the same with his banker for collection. So the banker becomes an agent between the drawer and the debtor. That means between the drawer and the drawee. The drawer must use separate pay-in slips for depositing bills with specific instructions. The bank will charge a commission from the drawer for the services rendered to him. The collecting bank sends the bill to its own branch at the place of the drawee for presentation, either by acceptance or for payment. If the bank has no branch of its own at that place, the bill is sent to the branch of any other bank with which the collecting bank has made the arrangement. The proceeds of the bill is then remitted to the collecting banker, who thereafter credits it to the account of the drawer. If the bill is for any reason dishonored, the customer will have to pay the bank charges. The bank may even present the bill to the drawee if the drawer mentioned that as a request to the collecting bank. Another mode of lending by banks is by purchasing and discounting of bills. In this case, the bank credits the amount of bill in the drawer's account before the realization of the bill and lends him their own funds. So the bills purchased and discounted by the bank will appear in the bank balance sheet as loans and advances. In the case of purchase and discounting of bills, the bank credits the customer's account with the amount of bill after deducting bank charges or discount. Demand bills are payable on demand, so the bank will demand immediate payment on presentation before the drawee. This practice is adopted in the case of demand bills and therefore it is known as purchasing the bills. However, in the case of time bills or usance bills, that is the bills maturing after a period of time, the banker keeps the bill up to the date of maturity and then the bank realizes the amount from the drawee. This practice is called discounting of bill. Now, if the bill is dishonored, the bill and the interest charges are both debited to the drawee's account. So, this is another form of advancing of money to the borrowers. Now, all these different methods of lending money to the borrowers have their own advantages and disadvantages. So in the next video, I'll discuss with you about different types of charges on securities.